My marriage has fallen apart. It is funny, but just saying it out loud hurts. Not that I did not know or suspect it over the past month or so, but today I crossed one of those lines where everything becomes clear again. The worst part is that I feel like a failure. I mean, it is not like I did not try. This is not one of those cases where an insensitive husband ignores his wife and her needs while spending time with the boys. And it is not one of those situations where I spent so much time at work that we became strangers to each other. I put Trisha first in my life. I never forgot an anniversary or a birthday. Every day I rushed home after work and spent every free minute with her. I read every article I could find on how to keep the passion alive in the bedroom and put them into practice. In short, I bent over backwards to make our marriage perfect. I know that in a way this sounds like I was a weakling, but I had no choice. You see, I knew that if I treated Trisha badly or ignored her, our marriage would not last long. I knew this because I was not her first husband. Her first husband was a damn monster. I often wondered why she even married that jerk. But she told me that you cannot always recognize monsters at first glance. Sometimes it takes time for monsters to show themselves. Nature often makes the deadliest predators and poisons the most attractive or seemingly harmless. I was thinking about it as I pulled into the parking lot of the local bar. That morning I had just signed the divorce papers. Formally, I was a free man. So much grief and pain had built up inside me that I decided coming here was the best way to drown them, and perhaps also do something good for my fellow man. I had a goal, and if he was as much of a traditionalist as my informants had said, he should be arriving at this particular bar within the next few minutes. It is funny, but although this place was only 2 blocks from my house, it hurt to say, my house, instead of our house. In any case, although this place was only 2 blocks from my house and I had been here many times, I had never come here without Trisha. I had been here often enough with Trisha and other friends to know the bartenders and waitresses by name. Another irony was that my target also used to come here frequently. He pulled up a few seconds after I did. His aging gray BMW parked next to my 2013 Mustang GT in midnight blue. We got out of our cars at the same time. "Nice car," he said, smiling. "Thank you," I said. "If you do not mind me saying, you look happy." "Yes," he said. Today I got rid of the guilt over the situation I allowed myself to get into. But everything turned out for the best, and now we can move on, into our future. "Wow," I said. "Sounds like a reason to drink." "It really is," he said, smiling. "Well, I am here for a more prosaic reason," I replied as we approached the entrance to the bar. "Just a regular evening with friends?" he asked. "No," I said. "It is more like insurance business." He looked at me strangely. "Actually," I said, "I would be willing to buy you a couple of drinks in exchange for a favor that will not cost you a single cent." Judging by his car, I could tell he was frugal, so I thought that by buying him a drink or two, I might lure him into my trap. "What would I have to do?" he asked. "Oh, there he is," I said as we entered the bar. I pointed to a table in the back, where a man was sitting with a laptop connected to a box. I led my new friend toward him. "I work for a company that insists all its employees undergo a polygraph test," I said. "In fact, we are required to regularly take a polygraph test so they can make sure we are not stealing from the company or doing anything that could damage the company's image. If you are willing to witness me taking my latest polygraph test, I will buy you a drink." "No problem," he said. "Actually, that might even be interesting." When we sat down, the man with the laptop connected me to the machine. He attached electrodes to my wrist and temples and turned the machine on. "All right, Ed, you know what to do," he said. "I will ask the questions, and you answer yes or no. Some questions will relate directly to your job. Others may concern outside interests or even your personal life." I nodded, and my guest seemed very intrigued. "Since your last test, have you been truthful and honest in all your expense reports?" he asked. "Yes," I said. Since the last test, have you been truthful and honest with all your clients? He asked. Yes, I said. Have you ever stolen anything? He asked. No, I replied. Do you think you could do your boss's job better than he does? He asked. Yes, I replied. Would you like his position? He asked. Yes, I replied. Have you ever hit or struck your wife? He asked. No, I said. Have you ever hit any woman? He asked. Never, I said. Do you neglect your marriage for the sake of work? He asked. No, I said. What would you put first, your marriage or your job? He asked. My marriage, of course, I said. I can always find another job. My witness was very interested. He even started watching the needles on the computer screen when each question was read and the answer given. Have you ever cheated on your wife? The examiner asked. Not once, I said. Have you ever contacted other companies about employment while working for us? He asked. No, I said. Have you done everything you could to complete your tasks in the best possible way? He asked. No, I said. I need an explanation, he said. I work like a damned man from 8 to 4, I said. But when it is time to go home, I go home to my wife and work like a damned man trying to please her. I could work overtime or take work home, but my marriage was more important to me than any job. He and the witness reviewed the chart. He began packing everything into his bag. How did I do? I asked. I am not sure Bill will like all your answers, he said. But you were truthful in every case. You did not lie on a single question. I think if your boss finds out that you want his job and that you could work overtime, it might not reflect well on you. But your explanations that your marriage and your wife are very important to you will carry a lot of weight. He handed my witness a form to sign and a pen. All right, I said, looking at my new friend. Shall we have our first drink? I gestured to the waitress to come to our table, and when she approached, I gave her our orders. That was interesting, he said. Are you in sales in one form or another? Yeah, I said. I cannot believe they are allowed to ask you questions about your personal life. Is that not illegal? He asked. The benefits package we get is so good that we all approve of it, I said. Judging by your answers, you must really love your wife, he said, smiling. I try to be the best husband I can possibly be, I said. If we ever break up, I do not want it to be my fault. But these days, so many marriages end in divorce. Actually, when we met, she was trying to escape her first husband, and he was a damn monster. He used to beat her regularly. He never wanted to have sex with her, and they never did anything together at all. He just kept her locked up in their house to such an extent that she stopped feeling like a woman or a person. She felt like a thing. All she wanted was to get away, but she had no idea how she would support herself. But she was willing to take the risk just to get away from that monster. It took several meetings at a place we both frequented for her to open up with a passionate confession. I think by our second or third conversation, I was already a little in love with her. She was 32, and I was 34, and we seemed like the perfect couple. And she did not look 32 at all. At first glance, I would have guessed no more than 25. After a few more dates, we got used to holding hands, and I started dreaming of the day when she would be able to free herself from that bastard who used to beat her. After a few more meetings, she decided that he was probably beginning to suspect. Suspect what? I asked. That I was interested in someone else, she told me, holding her breath. I was jealous and kept hesitating, until she hinted that the person she was interested in was me. She suggested finding a more private place to meet. After our second meeting at a motel, she told me she needed my help. I was sure she wanted me to lend her some money so she could escape from that monster, and I was ready to give it to her. I just hoped she would not move too far away from me, because, as I said, I was head over heels in love with her. I do not want to put you in an awkward position, she told me. But it has been so long since someone held me, and I feel uncomfortable asking, but would you? We lay down on the bed in the motel room. I hugged her and just held her in my arms. We were, of course, fully clothed, but that did not stop me from becoming aroused when she pressed her large, round bottom against me. She took my hands, and somehow my hands ended up on her chest, but she did not say a word. By the time she had to leave, I was so aroused I thought I was going to explode. She took my phone number so we could arrange another meeting. She called me the very next day and thanked me again and again for holding her. She said I had no idea how much she missed the touch of another person and how it helped her feel like a human being again. I thought again about what a bastard her husband must have been. A few days later we met again. This time at another motel in a different part of town. She told me that we had to keep moving around because if she got caught, it could interfere with her attempt to divorce him. Once again, we ended up on the bed, and this time she was wearing less clothing. I left there even more aroused. The next day, when we were talking on the phone, she did not mention even once that she was happy about what I had done. I started to think that maybe she had not really liked it. In fact, she seemed distracted during the conversation. When I told her I would talk to her another time, she surprised me by saying she was almost finished and if I waited a few minutes, she would be completely at my disposal. I hung up the phone. By that time, it had been about 6 weeks since I first met her. I was obsessed with her. She was not the most beautiful woman in the world, but she was very pretty, and I had started to think of her as mine. I had not gone on any dates or had sex since I started seeing her, and I had a feeling that she was just using me. She called me back very soon, crying. She begged me to talk to her, even for a little while. She told me she had not meant to seem rude or distracted, but she was doing something when she called me, and she really needed to finish it before she lost control. Then why did you not finish it before you called me? I asked her. I was not sure I would go through with it until I heard your voice, she said. As soon as you started talking, I remembered everything and realized I had to do it. What did you have to do? I asked. I filled out a profile on a dating website, she said. Oh, you had better be careful, I said. Most guys in those places only want one thing. Then we will not have a problem, she said. Because we will have that in common. I was shocked, and I think my silence prompted her to speak again. You are a good guy, Ed, she said. But lying in bed with you, I get so aroused that I need more. The first time I felt warm, wonderful, and alive. But yesterday it turned from warmth into lust. While we were lying there, I wanted more, but you were a real gentleman. My husband has not touched me in many years, Ed. And even then it was something like, bam, bam, splash, snore. Can I be completely honest with you, Ed? She asked. Yes, I said. I was hoping that in the long term, like in the rest of my life, I would like to be with you. But in the short term I need to have sex before I start screaming. I hope you will forgive me for seeing someone online, but that is at least partly your fault. I know I was the one who asked you for it, but when you were lying there, pressing that thing against my butt and squeezing my breasts, I feel like I am about to explode. Since yesterday I have had to change my underwear 3 times. For a while, we were both silent. Then I said, maybe we could do something tomorrow, I said. At that moment I did not realize it, but she was leading me step by step out of my comfort zone. Each step we took felt like the lesser of 2 evils, but I was already on the verge of having sex with a married woman. When we met at the motel the next day, her smile and casual demeanor disarmed me. Some of the things she said did not make sense, but I wanted so badly to believe her that I shut off my brain. Maybe it was not so much that my brain shut off, as that the blood in my veins could not flow to both my big head with the brain and my little head with the testicles at the same time. I know this seems wrong, she said. But if you think about it, it is not. First of all, my husband is not losing anything, because I do not have sex with him anyway. And second, since you are going to be my next husband, it is yours anyway. We got into bed, as we always did, but this time, without clothes. Her body was a little fuller than I had expected, yet warm, soft, and responsive. Her curves, especially her chest and hips, were strikingly feminine. I settled in behind her, and everything seemed to fall naturally into place. I ran my hand along her stomach, and she let out a soft moan, pressing herself against me even more. I raised my hands and held her chest. I caressed and gently squeezed her as if she belonged to me. She turned her face toward mine and kissed me for the first time. Her tongue tasted like fresh cherries. She rolled onto her back and pulled me closer, and the warmth and softness of her body overwhelmed me. She was not very tight. That should have told me something, but I was so consumed by desire that I had lost the ability to think clearly. That first time was wild and intense. We were together passionately, almost to the point of exhaustion, and she enjoyed it. We were so consumed by desire that time slipped away from us. I had to call work and say that I was having car trouble and that my phone battery had died. The following week was difficult for me. I had to complete as much work as possible in the mornings and early afternoons so I could spend the rest of the day with her. And while this continued, she told me about her plans to divorce him so that we could be together. In the end, I told her to file the papers and just leave him. I told her she did not have to ask him for anything. Just give him the documents and walk away. She could move into my house, and I would replace everything she had to leave behind. I thought she would say, no, and give me a dozen reasons why we could not be together. But she just looked at me and asked if I would marry her once her divorce was finalized. Of course, I said. I love you. I love you more, she said. And we did it. She hired a lawyer to prepare the divorce papers, citing irreconcilable differences. She did not ask for alimony or anything else, and since they did not have children, there was nothing he could do. Oh, he tried to fight it. But again, in the end, there was nothing he could do. We had to wait 6 months for the divorce to become final, but the day after that, we got married. For the first 6 years and 6 months, I was on cloud 9. I worshipped her, but then I started to feel like something was wrong. It seemed like we were drifting apart, and there was nothing I could do about it. I started buying her even more things and doing even more for her, but it did not matter. It was like being on a sinking ship, unable to get off fast enough to avoid drowning. Eventually, I just had to swim away to save myself and my sanity. I just let her go. If she did not want me anymore, there was nothing I could do about it. The man sitting across from me put down his beer and looked at me. I am really sorry for you, man, he said. You were the perfect husband. You took her away from a guy who abused her and treated her like garbage, and this is how she repaid you. What a damn witch. But you should just get back in the saddle. Not every woman you meet will be a witch like her. I think maybe she was damaged by that first guy she was with. He treated her like garbage, and she got used to it. You treated her way better, and maybe she started to take advantage of you. Maybe she even started missing that monster. Women are crazy. Half of them do not really like good guys like us. They all want the bad guy. It is funny. They go crazy over some guy who rides a motorcycle and leaves a trail of broken hearts behind him. They all think their asses are so magical that they will turn him into a good citizen. And they cry like children when he does to them the same thing he has done to every other woman he has ever been with. Screw her. And you know you were right to just let her go. I am glad you did not lose your dignity trying to fight for her like that monster guy, he said. Damn, if my fiancée ever tried to pull something like that, I would kick her ass at the first sign of trouble. But I think I have the best woman in the world. My situation is similar to yours. Even the first husband was a monster. Just like your guy, who constantly beat her and, he paused for a moment and seemed to reflect. Well, you saw how I passed the lie detector test, I said. I have never in my life hit my wife or any other woman. Yes, he said, but half the guys out there are not like us. It just seems like a strange coincidence. That is not a coincidence, I said. Now I am the monster. He jumped up and stared at me. Gary, sit back down, I said. This is not over yet. Trisha has not told you everything. How do you know her name? He asked. Then he just looked at me and sat back down. By the time you and Trisha met, I was already getting suspicious. I started thinking that maybe I had done something wrong or failed to do something I should have. I hired a private investigator to follow her for a while, to find out what she was doing, and that is when I found out about you. Surprisingly, your lifestyle was different from mine. She got you into bed almost immediately. Sex is great, is it not? He nodded nervously. Enjoy it while you can. A piece of advice for the future. Do what I did, and it will last longer. Read every article you can find, and keep changing. That is how you will last longer. You see, Gary, right now you are the knight in shining armor fighting off the evil damn monster to rescue Trisha. But once she gets tired of you, then, Gary, you will become the monster yourself. I got in touch with the guy she was married to before me. Gary, my marriage to Trisha lasted 7 years. I am definitely the longest-lasting husband in her life. I sincerely hope that you can beat my record, Anne. How many times has she been married? He asked. I thought you were her first husband, so you were the second. Gary, I was her 4th husband, I said. She married her first when she was 20. That lasted 3 years. She was with her second husband for 5 years. With the guy before me, almost 4 years. And just like me, he never raised a hand to her. All that time, I thought he was some kind of beast, but in reality, he was just a regular guy like me. He tried his best to hold on to her, not because he wanted to keep hurting her, but because he loved her very much. Even after he found out about me, he was willing to take her back. I do not have that kind of love. So when I found out about you, I stalled for time to arrange the same kind of deal he had. I do not have to pay her alimony, and she just moves in with you. You will have to be careful, Gary. She is going to turn 40 soon, so when your turn comes, she will want some kind of guarantee. If you manage to hold on to her longer, then eventually you might end up paying the bills. But, how do we even know that this is the same woman? He asked. I handed him my wallet. It contained many photographs of Trisha because we did not have children. He looked at my wedding photos and pictures from vacations, trips, and holidays. In almost every photograph, our faces were pressed close together like newlyweds, and we were smiling. That is her, he said sadly. Beneath the sadness, I noticed a hint of anger. She looks miserable, does she not? I asked sarcastically. Probably because I was torturing her. I noticed that one of the waitresses was standing near our table. We are almost finished, Jessie, I said. Oh, I do not mind, she said. She shook her head, and her long chestnut curls tumbled over her shoulders. She stepped closer to me and leaned in. I heard you say that you are divorcing Trisha, and I just wanted to tell you that when you start dating again, you should put me at the top of your list. You have to let me know when that happens so I can switch to an earlier shift. She stood up, smiled again, and headed back to the bar. In any case, I said, I am telling you all this only so that hopefully, you will have more success than I did. And I am also telling you this because, once it is all over, I am moving to another state to start over. I just do not see the point in remembering all the places I used to hang out with Trisha and seeing them every day. That way, when your turn comes, if it ever does, you will not have to come looking for me, you will already know. And remember, you should probably get a prenuptial agreement before you marry her. I would make one that says if she ever cheats, she gets nothing. He swallowed very loudly and took a big gulp of his beer. As far as I understand, I said, she is like a two-stroke engine. She constantly switches back and forth. She enjoys cheating and searching for her knight in shining armor. For a while, the cheating makes the sex incredible. Then everything becomes normal, and she starts to lose interest. And then you become the monster, and she has to find a new knight to rescue her from you. For a while, you will feel awful when you become the monster, so I want you to remember something. As I told you before, I met the guy she married before me. He was not a monster. He was just a regular guy. He was just as much of a fool as you and me. The real monster here is Trisha. Just remember that, and you will be all right. I already have a few dates lined up, and some of them look very promising. I waved goodbye to the waitress. Gary seemed very emotional. I walked out of the bar, got into my Mustang, and drove away. For the first time in a long time, I felt better. I felt that my life was ahead of me, not behind me. Maybe I started off with a lie, because the whole polygraph setup was fake, but I did something to make life a little easier for the guy who came after me. And all of my answers had been true. I pulled up to my house and went inside. I decided to have dinner out on the patio. I put one of the pre-seasoned lemon pepper turkey breasts in the oven and lit the fire pit. While it was cooking, I did a few exercises. I was not in the best shape, but now that I would not be spending most of my time with a selfish, self-absorbed woman, I had the time to get myself back into shape. My next woman would not be a damn monster, and I was going to take my time finding her. This time it would be real love and... I stopped thinking and went to answer the door. I looked through the peephole and saw Trisha standing there. When I opened the door, she smiled at me. "Sorry, honey, my key is not working," she said. "Could you get my things out of the car?" "What is that smell?" "Trisha, what are you talking about?" I asked. "Remember, I signed the divorce papers this morning. You packed your things and moved out. You told me I could throw away anything you left behind. You took all your clothes and loaded them into that huge SUV I bought you. Your key does not work because I changed the locks." "Ed," she said. "I am a woman. Maybe I have a hormonal imbalance. Maybe it was a test. Maybe I just wanted to see if you would really let me go or if you loved me enough to fight for me. I do not want a divorce. I never wanted it. Now bring my things back inside and get me a plate of whatever you cooked, and then let us go to bed. It feels like it has been an eternity since we made love." "What is my fault, Trisha?" I asked. "For the past several weeks I begged you for that every evening." "Well, tonight you will get it," she smiled. "As much as you want it, as often as you want it, and every night from now on." "I will bring your things in the morning," I said. I opened the door, grabbed her by the hand, and pulled her into my bedroom. Trisha knew she had to make it up to me, and she did it well. We were together in 3 or 4 different positions, including one that was more intense and personal. When I was completely satisfied, I picked her up in my arms and gently carried her down the stairs. "Oh, you have not done that in so long," she breathed. "It is just like our honeymoon. You would spend hours teasing me, then carry me downstairs and feed me." When we reached the bottom of the stairs, I did not turn toward the kitchen. I walked straight to the front door and opened it. I stepped out onto the porch and went down the 3 small steps to the ground. Then I unceremoniously dropped Trisha onto her backside and went back into the house. A second later, she was angrily banging on the door. "What the hell was that?" she asked. "I told you I love you. We are back together. How can you treat me like this after what we just did? We just made love. I even let you." "Damn," I said. "Huh?" she asked. "What we just did was disgusting. There was no love in it. The fact that you did not notice the difference makes me wonder if you ever loved me at all, or any of those other poor guys. We are not together anymore, Trisha. You asked for a divorce. I agreed. The papers are signed, notarized, and filed. But we can cancel it at any time," she said. "But we do not want to," I said. "At least, I do not. And you should stop lying too. You are only here because Gary was smart enough to get rid of you before making the biggest mistake of his life. Good for him. But now I am smarter too. I am not going to be your backup option. But she mumbled. You just used me, she hissed angrily. You are a monster. Damn Skippy, I said, closing the door and laughing out loud on my way to the shower. Thank you for being with us. And if you're one of those who watches silently, just leave a like, it helps new stories come to light.